Now, do you regard China's passing of that anti-secession law as a fundamental break with the status quo that has existed for decades across the Straits of Taiwan?
I was the first one among Taiwan's political figures to come out to oppose that. Actually, I started opposing that as early as December 2004. I said this move is entirely unnecessary and unwise. It will definitely provoke strong reactions in Taiwan. That is why when it was passed on 14th March 2005, I, together with another 12 local government leaders, called a press conference and opposed that openly. I think they have misunderstood Taiwan's public opinion. Actually, not the majority of Taiwanese people support the jury independence. The majority support maintaining the status quo.
Yes, but let me stop you there, if I may, just for a moment. Can I take it from what you've just said and your strong opposition to what Beijing did, that you therefore support President Chen when he says that Beijing has broken the status quo and we in Taiwan must therefore take certain political measures?
Well, I think the status quo, I think it may be different sides have a different expectation or what constitutes the status quo.
Well, for example, let's take two examples. The Unification Council and the Unification Guidelines. They've been in play in Taiwan for some, 15, 16 years.
Right.
And they basically acknowledge that in the end, Taiwan, as a long-term goal, seeks reunification with a China, a different sort of China, but with China.
Yeah.
Now, President Chen wants to get rid of, dissolve, the Unification Council and the Unification Guidelines. Do you?
Actually, when he was inaugurated in 2001, he said that he will not do that because he believes this is what constitutes the status quo.
Yes, but his point is that China has broken the status quo.
But he did say that again in 2004. And that pledge was made not only to the people of Taiwan, but to the rest of the world as well.
Well, this precisely comes back to my point, which you agreed with, that the anti-secession law passed by Beijing has changed everything.
Well, actually, I don't think that is anything new, because the PRC has always said that they want to use forces against Taiwan if Taiwan goes independent. They only put that into a form of law. This is what we oppose, because I don't think the PRC is that law-abiding to a point where they need a piece of law to give them the authorization to use force against Taiwan.
So I'm confused. So the anti-secession law isn't that important?
No. I think the anti-secession law is something that they want to use as a criteria for using force against Taiwan. But we don't think that idea of using force against Taiwan is a reasonable one. That is why we oppose that, because it's not a bilateral measure, it's a unilateral measure.
You're saying you oppose President Chen's desire to end the Unification Council, end the Unification Guidelines.
Both moves give people room to interpret the breaking of the status quo. That is why we oppose both.
Are you a little bit uncomfortable because your position basically is Beijing's position?
No. We oppose the anti-secession law. As I said very clear. And I was almost...
In essence, you're saying the anti-secession law isn't a big deal because it simply formalizes what we already knew was Beijing's position. What you really don't like is President Chen's reaction.
That's why I said it's unnecessary and unwise to do that. When the status quo has been in place for such a long time, there's no need for Beijing to do that. Again, the Mainland Affairs Council and Mainland Affairs the guidelines have been there for 15 years. There's no point to change that. So that's why both sides are changing the status quo to some extent. That is why we are opposed to that.
Bottom line is, you oppose President Chen's position on
I oppose the use of force against Taiwan.
Which does put you, on this particular issue, on the side of China.
No.
Why? If I may continue, why did your two senior members, Yen Chan and James Song, why did they go to Beijing, have all of those talks with top officials in Beijing?
Well, it's very important for the two sides of Taiwan Strait to pursue peace and not hostilities. But the current course of events in Taiwan worries many people. It's a stagnation. The people, particularly our business people, are not supposed to travel to the mainland directly from Taiwan. They have to go through Hong Kong. A normal trip takes only 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now it's 6 or even 7 hours. It's not in the interest of Taiwan to do that way.
But I'm just trying to get the context in my head. We've got 780 missiles pointing directly at Taiwan. We've got military war games on the Chinese side of the Straits, which clearly are simulating attack on Taiwan. We've got what you call a very grave military threat. We've got the anti-secession law. And after all of this, your senior party officials are going to glad hand Chinese leaders in Beijing.
Let me just tell you how this move was received in Taiwan. 58% of the people welcomed that move when President Lian Zhan was in mainland China. And
look, I'm trying to was welcome.
You ask me why, and I tell you what people react, what people's reactions are. Actually, the reputation, the approval rate of Mr. Lian Zhan and of Kuomintang went up as a result. That shows people are opposed to any move that will break the peace across the Taiwan Strait, but they support any move to pursue peace across the Taiwan Strait. That's a very clear mandate, very clear message.
The Taiwan Daily called the visit detestable and shameful. The Taipei Times wrote this in an editorial: "Today the nation's sovereignty, that is Taiwan's sovereignty, is in the hands of the people. We have the right to decide Taiwan's future. If, under such circumstances, we allow Lian Chan to unite with the communists to sell out Taiwan, our descendants will laugh at our ignorance and naivety."
I don't think Mr. Lian is selling out Taiwan. He's only the opposition leader. He didn't have that power. Only the people in power could sell out Taiwan. So I think they actually mistook Lian Zhan for somebody in power.
Well, let me ask you this.
All Lian Zhan could do is just reach a verbal consensus with the mainland on things that we might be able to do when we come back to power. Well, to resume the talks, to sign a peace treaty, which includes military mutual trust mechanism, and to reach an agreement on the establishment of a common market. In other words, we hope to use these mechanisms to bring peace to the Taiwan Strait instead of an arms race or a confrontation, as the Chen administration has done.
It's very interesting what you just say, because you are probably, you tell me, going to be fighting the next 2008 presidential election for the Kuomintang. Yes?
Well, the Kuomintang certainly will nominate somebody to run.
Will you run?
I don't know whether that would be me.
But will you run?
Well, if the party nominated me, well, that's something else. But at the moment, it's a question it's not on my agenda yet.
But assuming it comes onto your agenda, are you telling me that you would go to Beijing and you would pursue the agenda you just outlined to me? That is, as you say, ending the arms race, cooling down the temperature, looking for consensus, working very closely with Beijing.